The NHL is continuing its investigation into fired Flames coach Bill Peters. Akim Aliu, who of course made the initial allegations against Peters last Monday, was at the NHL offices in Toronto this afternoon to meet with league officials. Then he spoke to the media.
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for coming out here in this cold weather. I wanted to start with just thanking everyone for their support. It obviously means a lot to me. It's been a tough week, but we had some great discussion with Gary and Bill. They couldn't have been kinder and receptive to the message that we're trying to bring. And I think there's just some big change coming, and it's long overdue. And I'm excited to see it come to fruition. So just wanted to thank you guys for, obviously it's cold out here, and being out here. And like I said, I appreciate all your guys' support and for you guys being here.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Again, that was Akim Aliu earlier today. After the meeting, the league released this statement. We are pleased to have met with Akim Aliu today and had a productive and candid conversation. Today's discussion, part of a broader, thorough review and process that the league is undertaking. We share a mutual objective, ensuring that hockey is an open and inclusive sport at all levels. The league will have no further comment until after the Board of Governors meeting next Monday and Tuesday. And as the investigation into Peters progresses, more revelations continue to pour in from around the hockey world regarding other names. Yesterday, we told you about Chris Chelios' comments about Mike Babcock's treatment of Johan Franzen while with the Red Wings. Franzen spoke with a Swedish newspaper yesterday and corroborated the allegations, saying the verbal attacks from Babcock forced him to seek professional help and still haunt him to this day. Babcock, as of this second, has yet to respond. Meanwhile, the Chicago Blackhawks announced yesterday that assistant coach Marc Crawford would be away from the team while they conduct a review of recent allegations against him. Following the Hawks' announcement, Sean Avery clarified his own comments on Crawford after a report in the New York Post over the weekend that Crawford kicked him in a game back when the two were with the Kings. He tweeted this: after an exhausting investigation, the Avery Review has concluded that Marc the Crow Crawford was a demanding coach who would actually fight for his players and gave Mr. Avery a great opportunity to become a better player and teammate, even though he was an unmanageable ass. He also posted a video Avery did last night. Patrick O'Sullivan, who also played for Crawford with the Kings, responded to the Hawks with this tweet: I talked about his physical abuse in my book 4 years ago, kicking me and others on the bench. Verbal abuse included homophobic slurs on a regular basis. I look forward to participating in your investigation. This story phase in the world of hockey, it continues to turn. Every day I walk in here, there is a new development, there is a new statement. I can barely keep up with it. But what happened on Hockey Night in Canada Saturday night was completely warranted considering what's going on here. Kevin Bieksa has played over 800 games in the National Hockey League. He is joining us right now on Tim and Sid. Kev, first off, your work on Hockey Night Saturday, you were fantastic. Congratulations on that. How did you find the experience with Ron and everybody? And describe what the feedback was kind of like for you.
Well, the feedback has been good so far. Who knows if that's going to last, but I've got a little bit of experience with this now. I've been on the panel a few times. I did the trade deadline All-Star game last year, so I'm enjoying it. That's basically why I'm doing it right now, because I enjoy the experience. It's a very team-oriented environment there with Ron and Berkey and David Amber and Elliot, Kelly Rudy. A great group of guys, really fun to work with, so you'll probably see me a little bit more in the future.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I know a lot of people are good with that as well. So, Kev, let's I don't even know how to phrase it. This is one of the most unique times I have ever seen in the world of hockey. Considering everything you've seen in the last little bit, where's your head at right now?
My head's spinning right now. I think like everybody else's, and there's a lot of controversy and there's a lot of debate going on right now, which is ultimately going to lead to good things and changes. I'm kind of reflecting back on my career and the coaches I've had, and I've had a lot of healthy debates with friends and ex-teammates, and personally, I find myself lucky that I got through and never really had any, physical abuse or even verbal abuse for that matter. I've had coaches yell at me and try to motivate me different ways and use different techniques, but I think it got the best out of me for the most part, but I know that there are a lot of situations where coaches have crossed the line. And some of these people coming forward, like Akim Aliu and Sean Avery is going to draw light on it, and it's going to force change, which is a good thing because society has evolved and there's a lot more sensitivity around these interactions now, and coaches are going to have to find different ways, and they're going to have to educate themselves, which is, I think, is a good thing. I kind of made a joke on air on Saturday night about not all coaches are intelligent, believe it or not. And it was a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but it was also, there's some truth to it that they're going to have to evolve and educate themselves and find different ways to motivate players.
Kevin, you mentioned having healthy conversations with your friends, and it feels like at times when you bring up a topic like this, the conversations aren't always healthy. They lean one way or they lean another. What's been the nature of some of those conversations from you and those people you've been speaking about?
Well, there's people that have had really bad experiences, but like I said, I've been fortunate to be in a situation where a lot of my teammates, and Marc Crawford, well, let's just dive right into that. He was one of my first coaches. He was my first NHL coach, and there's allegations of him kicking guys on the bench and stuff like that, and I'm sure they're true, but I never witnessed it. He never did it to me. He never did it to anyone in front of me. And if you go back 15 years ago, that wasn't taboo. That was a common practice. Every coach did things to that nature. And you know what? They did it in minor hockey as well. So to hear that back then wouldn't have been a big deal. But now it's clearly taboo and it's clearly not accepted. So it's a really tough debate.
So if you would have seen that, it's a tough hypothetical, Kev, I apologize for. But if you would have seen that during your playing days, you're telling me in the environment that was currently going on at the time, you may not have said anything about it.
If I would have seen him do it to somebody else, I probably would have thought, and keep in mind, I was a rookie back then.
Right,
and,
right.
Kept my mouth shut for a few years and just did what I was told. And I probably would have thought in my head, wow, like he just kicked that guy. I hope he doesn't do it to me. But I probably wouldn't have said anything or spoke out. No, I would have. It would have been something I wasn't happy about, but it wouldn't have been so outrageous that I would have felt like I needed to say something.
Kevin, the other name that is being floated a bit here is Mike Babcock. And, the Babcock story to me is interesting because there's two lanes to that highway. I mean, there's the player who will say, look, he just wasn't a good dude, but he was an effective coach, so you kind of deal with it. Like, I'm trying to figure out what the real story is with Babcock. Obviously, Johan Franzen had a really negative experience with Mike Babcock that needed professional help to deal with. But is it a crime to be just an a-hole? Honestly, is that a crime in the NHL? Because there are a lot of them. Or is there something else at work here with Mike Babcock, do you think?
I haven't met too many coaches that aren't a-holes, so it's almost a requirement, I think, when you're looking for one. But, that's another tough debate because he had some successful teams in Detroit. He won a couple Stanley Cups. And, not all coaches, most coaches aren't going to be well liked. So you're probably not going to like the tactics that coaches use when they're trying to motivate you or get you to play better or keep you accountable. But, did he cross the line? I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know Mike Babcock personally. I've had maybe 2 conversations with him in my life. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one to have a firm opinion on for me.
It is anyone's guess whether this ends at just these coaches we've heard over the last week or so. I imagine more and more people will feel comfortable coming up. But how does this change for the league? How does the league overcome the PR nightmare that this has kind of been?
Well, I understand they had a meeting with the Kimaloo and Peters in New York. I don't know if Peters was there, Coach Peters in New York, and they're going to start a dialogue and hear every version, every side of the story. And then I'm sure a statement will come out, and then I'm sure a memo will go out to the players. And then, it's going to have to be, something's going to have to be done, obviously progressive, and there's going to have to be something in place and a code of conduct. And like I said, this is something 15 years ago that was commonly practiced. So it's a changing of culture and society, and it's going to have to be reflected in the NHL.
This is obviously a heavy time around the world of hockey, Kev. So I just want to take a break here and talk about some other stuff, if I may. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, as a group, let's decide to do that. Alex Burrows tonight is going up in the Ring of Honor in Vancouver in this historical season for the Canucks. What's your best Alex Burrows story that you can tell in a family program?
On a family program, it's limited, but I'll throw one at you. He considered himself a prankster. You saw most of his antics and his act on the ice, but off the ice, we were in Columbus one time, and we were staying the night before the game. We're at a pub for dinner, and I have one of those lobster cages where you pay the $1 and then the claw comes down and you try to grab the lobster out of the cage. So he spent his paycheck trying to get that lobster. He finally got it. He had them box it up and convinced them to let him take it home, which I think is illegal in Columbus. So I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what the bar was. Then he got a room key to my room, and he snuck in there before we got back. And he took the elastic bands off the claws and he put it under Kessler's pillow. So when we got back to our room, 10 minutes with the lights out, Kessler, a couple swear words, and then I hear something smash across the room. Turn the light on, it's a lobster cling on my floor with no elastic bands on the claws. So next day, obviously, accuse him, first guy we go to, and he denied all the allegations, but somebody took a picture of him actually putting the lobster in our room, so it was hard to refute.
So he was caught red-handed, so to speak.
I was gonna say
No?
it, you know.
No?
He was caught. I saw the picture in the video of him coming to the room laughing and doing it. I'm just glad he didn't do it to my pillow.
I don't react well to that stuff, man. I got to tell you, I'm not.
Who does?
I'm not the guy.
exactly.
Like, let alone
Who does?
a lobster underneath my pillow. Anyway, I won't tell you how I may have reacted to that. That's a discussion for another day.
Well, that's for the family show. If you ever want to talk more personally with off air, I can talk.
Deal.
About
We'll call you after.
Oh, this is definitely happening, Kevin. Absolutely.
I want to ask about the mustache on Saturday.
Okay.
The
Before we let
mustache
you
shaving,
go,
please, if
speaking
that's
of
okay.
light,
Yeah.
You
I'm
went
just
through.
about to eat, so I don't really want to talk about it.
No, I want to talk about this.
It was in my mouth when I was doing it.
This looked horrific. For those on radio, we're running the video of Elliot Friedman, who for Movember really took it like a champ, more than any other Sportsnet employee. The mustaches grew in rather oddly, but you guys on Saturday night shaved him as Movember came to an end. And Kevin, you seem like you enjoyed it, though. Did you not enjoy shaving Elliot Friedman?
Well, I was doing you guys a favor. I was doing society a favor by shaving that disgusting mustache off. And it actually masks the suits that he wears from time to time. He looked like a Christmas caroler on Saturday night.
Wow. Listen, I got a haircut today, and there's hairs that are going to be lingering all over my things for a long time. Do you have any residual Elliot Friedman mustache hair on you, the person, Kevin Bieksa?
Well, I can't see you guys right now, so I don't know what you're wearing or what you look like. But
He looks terrible.
My guess is you guys need some help.
Oh,
That's just my guess.
I'm not.
I don't think that was my question, but man, somehow that ended up as a shot at me. But
You know
okay.
what, Kev?
Hey, I ask the questions
That's
around
fair.
here. I'm
Okay, well,
technical.
it's big time in now.
Kev,
okay.
I think you're going to fit in around here just
Yeah.
fine. Kevin Bieksa joining us, over 800 games in the NHL. Have a good night, man. We enjoy it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Good talking to you.